Good morning, and thank you so much for being a Patreon member. It's a fantastic, wonderful thing to be able to bring these videos to you, and the financial support that you give me is awesome. Whatever level you're at is wonderful, because that's something you can do, and it benefits us to be able to make these videos and to bring you the best in gardening and the latest, most current scientific breakthroughs. I'm on Zoom calls usually a couple of times a week. Sometimes it's only once a month, depending on what's happening in the world. But I'm on the Zoom calls with scientists around the world, and we are talking and discussing the things that are happening in the soil health world. So today I just wanted to introduce an idea that me and a friend had about how to make Patreon even better. So I'm not going to change any memberships. You can go into Patreon and look at the memberships that are there. But what I want to do is go back to an old motto that I had when I started teaching gardening seminars years ago. It's been almost 20 years now. And my motto was, 15 minutes a day keeps the bugs and weeds away. And it's true. In a family-sized garden, 15 minutes a day is an hour and a half of work if you're doing 15 minutes a day, 6 days a week, which is doable for most people. I say spend 15 minutes a day, 7 days a week. If you're a religious person and you try to keep the Sabbath day holy, which is an excellent thing for people to do, then all you need to do is you go out and you enjoy the garden on the Sabbath day. Have a chair, have a seating area, have a place to sit down. Right behind me here, that's my seating area in the greenhouse. Now, 15 minutes a day will not keep the bugs and weeds away in a very large garden. So it's a fun motto, and it's a true motto for an appropriate sized garden. So everything that I've been teaching in all of those Patreon videos for years now is appropriate for 15 minutes a day. As we look at the garden, that's called observation. I do a lot of observation videos. I've been doing one at the beginning of the month and one in the middle of the month for in 2023. And we just look around. Observation is a big part of just simply doing your 15 minutes a day. You don't know what to do until the land tells you what needs done. The plants will tell you what to do. People always want a chart. People want, they want a book. They want something that will explain to them what to do and how to do it and when to do it, to make a schedule. Schedules are good. Charts are good. Books are fantastic. So these are beneficial and these are helpful, but a chart isn't going to tell you what you need to do today. It's the condition of your plant will tell you what needs to happen. It's the moisture level in your soil. It's how much sunshine you're getting on a particular day or week. These are the conditions in the environment that actually help you to know what to do in your garden. So I think that charts and books and plans and whiteboards and spreadsheets are great to help a person organize their thoughts, but when you actually go to the garden, you need to be able to read Mother Nature like a book so that you know what you need to do that day. Because if you just go water according to a chart, your garden will get too much water or not enough water. You have to learn to be able to read the plant and know what that plant is telling you. So these are the nuances that are incredibly hard to teach. It comes by experience. That's why you need to be in your garden every single day for 15 minutes, because that is how you learn what to do and how to read Mother Nature. If you're thinking, okay, I'm going to put this garden together, we're going to do this thing, I'll be able to work on it every Saturday afternoon for 2 hours. I've never seen a gardener be super successful with that kind of a schedule, because throughout the week things get neglected. Flocks of birds come in and change your environment. A herd of cattle get in and change the environment. Kids get in and change the environment. Oh, the weather will change things. you really need to be seeing your food production system every single day. If you're serious about food production, then actually take it seriously. It's kind of like farmers who grow up on a ranch or a farm, and their life is all about the culture of how they grew up. And now that they are taking over dad's farm, dad moves on, he does other things, or maybe they pass away, sadly, and the kids take over, and they know how to fix fences, they know how to herd cattle, they know how to do a lot of the labor work because that's what they've done, but they don't know how to treat it like a business. They don't know anything about income. They don't have their spreadsheets. They don't have, income and loss statements. They don't really understand the business. They don't know their market. They don't know their sales. What is your point of sale? What is all the things that businesses are? And so they eventually lose their farm, their ranch, because they don't treat their agricultural business like a business because they never learned how. This is how gardening is. A lot of times if we don't treat a garden like a food production system, it's not going to produce food. So we have to produce a way to create the food production like it's food production. Now, if your garden is a hobby, that's fantastic. Hobbies are great, but that's not what I'm talking about today. What I'm talking about today is creating a food producing mecca that creates an amazing amount of the most nutritious food ever, and that takes daily observation. So most of my videos in the past have been all about let's look at this and let's look at that. It's not just because this is a tour. I'm not giving you a farm tour of the greenhouse and what it looks like, although that's what I've been saying. What I'm actually doing is trying to show you the observation, because that is the hardest part of 15 minutes a day, keeping the bugs and weeds away. We have to actually be there. If your garden is secondary to everything else you're doing, you're probably going to be getting secondary results. So if you're the manager of a business and it's secondary to what you're doing, your business probably gets secondary results. You have to bump up your food production to like a number one position in your life, and you'll probably, if you're a well-rounded, good, healthy person, you probably have 20 things in a number one position. Family, community, church, husband, the role of wife, the role of child, taking care of parents. These are the types of things that should be a number one position. Now, if you're going to be financially successful, then your business, your career, your job, those things should be in a number one position too. And then you have recreation, and those things, there are those who would argue that those need to be in a number one position because it keeps you well-rounded and well-balanced. Hobbies, do these keep you going so that everything else works in your life? Maybe that's in a number one position. But here's what happens. The random trip to Hawaii and Disneyland that happens every decade or every 2 decades or never, those things are those are not in number one positions. Those were something special. So if we treat our food production as something special, then you will have a special little hobby that probably never produces you results in food production. So I am going to start pointing out in my videos how 15 minutes a day keeps the bugs and weeds away. I honestly believe I've been doing that in the past. What I didn't do is tell you guys that that's what I was doing. So when I do my monthly walkthroughs in here and say it's the middle of May and here's what's happening, then what we're actually doing is we're using the tool of observation. We're looking at what happens in the environment where we are. And then the environment tells us what we need to do next. And so, I'm going to turn this around So here's a coriander plant. Coriander and cilantro are the same species, but coriander is the seed of the cilantro. So this is tall. This is 4 feet high right here. And we've got these beautiful flowers. So what is this plant telling me? Well, if it's crowding out something on the bottom and shading it, it's telling me get rid of it. It shouldn't be here. It needs to be in the compost. But if I want coriander seed and this is my primary crop, then let it go because it'll be here. And it'll be producing seed soon because they're in full bloom right now. So it's fantastic. So I have to know what I'm doing. Am I creating coriander seed? Or am I just, or is it just here for fun? Is it here for the insects? If it's here for the insects, once the flowers are done, then I can pull it out. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I don't need cilantro seed right now. So I am going to pull this out once the flowers are out. So this has about another 4 weeks in here. And then it's going to be gone. So I know what I'm doing. And this is telling me when to do it. Let's talk about the strawberries over there. We just started harvesting the strawberries on that bed far across there. Well, if my chart said pick strawberries, like last year, at the beginning of April, we started ripening strawberries. But this year, the strawberries didn't ripen until the mid-May because it was cold. We had a cold winter. So the strawberries were a month and a half later than last year. So you can't really go by a chart. You have to read the ecology of what's happening. So when we come out and we look at things, we are really looking and observing, is asking the question, what do I do next in my garden? And your plant will tell you, when a strawberry is red, it's ready to pick. Everybody can kind of get that around their head. But what about this weed right in front of me? Here's this grass. It's a Timothy grass. And see that seed head? It's time to pull this out. I like the grass to grow because it's great for the soil, but once the seed is coming out, get rid of it because we don't want it to scatter grass seed all over the greenhouse. So now we know what to do with that. See, here's one in full pollen. So there's the pollen all over that Timothy head. So this needs to get out of here because in another few weeks, this will be spreading seed. So we never want the weed species to spread seed in the food production system. So these are some tidbits. So I'm going to try to be more diligent in explaining what we're actually doing and learning as we go forward with these videos and how 15 minutes a day keeps the bugs and weeds away. Thank you for being a Patreon member, and hopefully this helps you to keep the bugs and weeds away 15 minutes a day, an hour and a half a week in a normal-sized garden. For me in this greenhouse, it's probably, at this time of year in the spring, which is the busiest, it's probably averages 2 hours a day in a greenhouse this size for one person. But I'm feeding 20 people. So, if you have a family of 5 people and everybody's out there for 15 minutes a day, you're not going to have very much work to do. And most of your 15 minutes is going to be leisure time, enjoying, observing, and being blessed. Not a lot of labor. And it's true. It's true. People say, oh, he's nuts, man. I got a lot of ridicule in the early days. 15 minutes a day, that's insane. Nobody can do that. Have you tried it? Consistently, every day, 6 days a week, 15 minutes, you attack the work like an Olympic sport. After 2 or 3 weeks, there's no more work to do. And you are simply finding new things to do to make life better.